Welcome back to our channel, everyone. Today is a beautiful day to dive deep into the absolute masterclass of storytelling we are currently witnessing in Port Charles. Grab your coffee and get comfortable, because we have so much to unpack about this incredible new era of our favorite show. I am absolutely buzzing with excitement after watching the latest developments. And I have to start by talking about that incredibly powerful, raw scene between Willow Kane and Harrison Chase at Willow's house. I genuinely think we're missing the point if we just dismiss Willow's tears as more of the same typical soap opera angst. The way I interpret it, this breakdown in her living room was a masterclass in suppressed trauma finally boiling over. When Willow admitted that she doesn't want to be married to Drew Kane anymore, I felt this overwhelming sense of relief for her. I love the way the lighting seemed to cast long, isolating shadows across the room, perfectly mirroring the dark, suffocating secret she has been carrying regarding Drew's condition. I know a lot of people are saying the storyline is dragging, or that Willow is too weepy lately, but I actually think the slow burn is exactly what's needed, because I feel like we are watching the psychological unraveling of a woman who is in way over her head. When Chase tried to comfort her, telling her she has nothing to feel guilty for, and she sharply corrected him with, "I am guilty of so much I literally got chills." I think the writer's choice to have her say those exact words to Chase, the one man who has always seen her as pure and good, was brilliant. It made me feel the crushing weight of what she did to Drew. She shot him. She is actively dosing him with a paralytic to keep him in a locked-in state. Her guilt is a living, breathing entity in that room. The way I see it, Chase's reaction to her tears is the ultimate tragic irony, and it is working so perfectly for me. He is looking at her with such pure, unadulterated sympathy, completely oblivious to the fact that the woman he is comforting is holding her husband hostage in his own body. I feel like this is the best they've written Willow in years, because she is no longer just a passive victim. She is an active, deeply flawed participant in her own nightmare. And Chase, bless his heart, is the perfect foil for this. His unwavering belief in her goodness is the very thing that makes her guilt so unbearable. I believe that every time he looks at her with that unconditional support, it twists the knife in her conscience just a little bit more. And this brings me to the absolute genius of Michael Corinthos right now. I am fiercely loyal to this new, darker iteration of Michael, and I think his current machinations are some of the most compelling television we've seen all year. I feel so incredibly validated by the revelation that Michael has figured out Brooke. Lynn Quartermain was the driver who fled the scene of that accident in the black BMW. The way I interpret his actions, Michael isn't just being malicious for the sake of it. He is operating with the cold, calculating precision of a true Corinthos. When Michael made that phone call declaring he had just figured out a way to solve all his problems, I was practically cheering at my screen. I know some fans are frustrated that Michael is actively trying to destroy Chase and Brooke Lynn's marriage to push Chase toward Willow. But I genuinely think this is a brilliant narrative full circle moment. I feel like Michael's cheating trap is the ultimate manifestation of his need for control. He sees the lingering bond between Chase and Willow, and he is willing to detonate a nuclear bomb in the middle of his own family to exploit it. The way I see it, Michael realizing that he can use Brooke Lynn's hit-and-run secret against her is top-tier strategy. He knows that Chase, the ultimate Boy Scout cop, would never turn his wife in. But the betrayal of Brooke Lynn hiding something this massive, that is the crack in the foundation Michael needs. I believe Michael's warning to Brooke Lynn wasn't just a casual threat. It was him testing the waters, watching her squirm and calculating exactly when to drop the anvil. I love the subtle smirk on his face during that scene. It made me feel like we are finally seeing the ruthless businessman he was always destined to become. Speaking of Brooke Lynn, I am entirely captivated by the sheer terror she is projecting right now. I feel like her tension is radiating off the screen, especially when she realizes that Michael might know about the car. The way I interpret it, Brooke Lynn is trapped in a nightmare of her own making, and the stakes couldn't be higher. She and Chase are moving forward with the adoption of Phoebe, and I think the writers are brilliantly juxtaposing her dream of a perfect family with the looming threat of prison and marital destruction. The contrast makes every scene she is in feel like a ticking time bomb. And then there is Tracy Quartermain, who is, in my opinion, the absolute glue holding this entire Quartermain disaster together. I know some people might think Tracy is just being her usual bossy self, but I actually think her covering up the damage on Brooke Lynn's car is a profoundly moving display of a grandmother's twisted, fierce love. When Tracy summons Ethan Lovett and tells him she has a need for his particular skill set, I felt a jolt of pure adrenaline. I believe Tracy is mobilizing her forces to protect Brooke Lynn at all costs, and bringing Ethan into the fold is a stroke of absolute genius. I feel like Ethan accepting this assignment from Tracy is going to blow this storyline wide open. The way I see it, Ethan has always operated in the gray areas, and seeing him interact with the formidable Tracy Quartermain is a dynamic I didn't know I needed until right now. I think the writer's choice to have Tracy reach out to him specifically highlights how desperate the situation is becoming. I am fully invested in watching Ethan navigate the treacherous waters of Quartermaine family secrets, especially when Michael is actively working to tear them down from the inside. The collision course between Tracy's defensive maneuvers and Michael's offensive strikes is going to be legendary. Shifting gears, I want to talk about the explosive tension between Curtis Ashford and Portia Robinson, because I am absolutely loving the raw, unfiltered anger playing out between them. I know a lot of people are frustrated with Curtis for refusing to take responsibility for attacking Isaiah Gannon, but I actually think this stubbornness is perfectly in character for him. I feel like Curtis has always been a man who operates on his own strict moral code, and in his mind, Isaiah baited him. When Curtis stood his ground and told Portia that Isaiah has no one to blame but himself. I love the defiant tilt of his chin. It showed exactly who he is when backed into a corner. I think Portia's fury in that scene was completely justified, and I loved how the writers didn't hold back on her dialogue. The way I interpret it, Portia isn't just mad about the physical fight, she is terrified about the collateral damage. Isaiah's surgical career might be derailed, and Derek's procedure is in jeopardy because of Curtis's pride. I feel like this is the best they've written their marital conflict, because it isn't based on a simple misunderstanding, it is based on a fundamental clash of values. I believe Curtis is terrified deep down about the felony charges ADA Justine Turner is pushing, but his pride simply will not allow him to back down, and that makes for incredibly compelling drama. Moving over to Carly and Valentine Cassadine at Carly's place, I am completely swept up in the romantic tension and the emotional baggage they are navigating. When Carly brought up Anna, Devane insisting that Valentine is still in love with her, I felt a pang of deep sympathy for Carly. The way I see it, Carly is a woman who has always had to fight for the #1 spot in a man's heart, and her insecurities here are so incredibly valid. But I think Valentine's response was a masterclass in maturity. When he admitted that part of him will always love Anna, but insisted he has moved on romantically, I literally swooned. I genuinely think we're missing the point if we don't appreciate how far Valentine has come as a romantic lead. I'm on the edge of my seat waiting for this grand gesture he has planned, and I feel like it is going to be the exact wake-up call Carly needs to fully commit to him. And I absolutely love the fact that Carly is also serving as a sounding board for Charlotte Cassadine. When Charlotte vented to Carly about Rocco Falconeri running away, it made me feel so warm inside. I think the writer's choice to build this bond between Carly and Charlotte is brilliant, grounding their blended family dynamic in real messy emotional stakes. Finally, I have to talk about the Manhattan Art Gallery storyline, because I am fiercely loyal to any plot that puts Ava Jerome and Alexis Davis in a room together. I feel like their dynamic is unmatched, and watching them play amateur detectives is bringing me so much joy. When they headed to the gallery featuring Kyoko's work to ask questions about Delilah Wilson's tattoo, the atmosphere was thick with mystery. I think the introduction of Apollo, played by Max Caulfield, is a fantastic addition to this arc. The setting itself felt so distinct and dangerous. The way I interpret it, Apollo is radiating shady vibes from the moment he stepped on screen. I love the subtle, guarded way he answered Ava and Alexis's questions. I feel like he knows exactly who Delilah was and what that tattoo signifies. But he's playing a dangerous game of cat and mouse. I believe Ava and Alexis picking up on those vibes is just the tip of the iceberg. I think this investigation is going to lead them directly into the crosshairs of some very dangerous people, and I am here for every single second of it. I feel so incredibly lucky to be watching the show right now because every single storyline feels connected, urgent, and deeply character-driven. From Willow's suffocating guilt to Michael's ruthless manipulations, from Brooklyn's sheer terror to Curtis's stubborn pride, the writers are firing on all cylinders. I know some fans prefer the lighter moments, but I actually think this heavy, consequence-driven storytelling is what makes the show legendary. I believe we are witnessing a golden era of character development where actions have real, devastating consequences. I can't stop thinking about that moment between Willow and Chase. I feel like it is the emotional anchor of this entire week. The way I see it, Chase is walking right into a trap armed with nothing but his good heart and his belief in his ex-wife. And Willow is a tragic figure standing on the edge of a cliff, knowing that one more step will send them all tumbling down. I think the writer's choice to have Michael be the one to push them off. That cliff is poetic justice for all the pain they caused him in the past. It is a beautiful, terrible tragedy unfolding right before our eyes. In my opinion, this is the exact kind of storytelling that keeps us coming back decade after decade. It is messy, it is personal, and it is unapologetically dramatic. I feel like every character is exactly where they need to be, and I cannot wait to see how these explosive secrets finally detonate. The way I interpret the current canvas, we are in for a summer of absolute chaos, and I am fiercely, joyfully loyal to every single minute of it.